Alrighty. Check, 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 check. Oops. Alrighty. There we go. Hey everybody, Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Laurel Blanchard here with your Thursday evening forecast. There we go. Hey everybody. And yeah, we are live. We had a couple storms earlier on today, but I thought we would start off a little bit different. So thanks everyone for joining in on this Thursday. Started to get more of those storms starting to make their way into the Orlando area. So we are going to be talking about more storms tomorrow, and then a couple of more local stories than local headlines that we've been seeing over the past little bit. So overall, we're going to really just start off with the heat, start off with the storms that we saw yesterday, a couple of national headlines, and then we'll break down your forecast because, again, we are expecting another impact day for tomorrow. So as we do take a look, overall, we are again live on our Facebook. We are live on YouTube. So make sure you come on down, say hi, let us know where you're watching from, and we can even give you a little bit of a forecast as we continue to monitor a couple storms that are still out there. But overall, let's get started. And of course, this graphic does not seem to be working right now. So just my luck on that one. Okay, you get the gist. But overall, let's start off with a couple of headlines. Earlier today, the National Weather Service, they confirmed that there was a tornado because of all the severe storms, especially in the Tampa area yesterday. This radar only has a 24-hour lifespan. So this is just past the 24-hour mark, so totally understandable. But you can see right here within that blue circle, that's where we saw that tornado touch down. It was a confirmed EF1 tornado in Largo, Florida. Peak winds was at 90 miles per hour. Path length was just over 2 miles with a width of 100 yards, and the duration was about 8 minutes. It touched down at about 7:02 and continued until about 7:10. So that's something that was a big story yesterday because especially if you've seen the photos, these are some of the damage photos that we've gotten from a viewer that was so kind to send to us, and this tornado especially caused a lot of damage to some manufactured homes. And there was a community in particular where it completely flipped over a house. This is how quick and powerful just this EF1 tornado was, where it quite literally lifted up a house, and then crazy enough, next door, it's a Ring doorbell camera. If you do get to see the video, I do not have it right here with just access to it, but the house completely lifted off the foundation. Again, this was a manufactured home, and there's a golf cart where the Ring doorbell camera was, and that didn't move. So it just shows you how very hit and miss tornado damage can be. But if you were in that line, it is surely a line of destruction for sure. Here's a video. Again, this was from a viewer that was sent to us last night, and you can just see the damage all up and down the road that they were on. And again, just showing the variability of how quickly just from one house to another, things can be totally fine for one house and then just completely leveled for another house. You can see, again, just right across the street from each other, multiple houses completely torn apart, and then you get further down and it's just like a couple of shingles just on the road. So very variable, especially when we're talking about tornadoes possible. And again, yesterday we did see multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in the Tampa area. However, there were no tornado warnings. There was rotation. There was a lot of videos yesterday online of a lot of debris lofted up into the air, and we definitely were keeping an eye on that for sure. But overall, we were continuing to monitor those storms as well as our storms as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But again, kind of more focusing in on things that we saw on the internet today. There was a meteor that flashed across areas of the southeast sky. You can see that right here. This is a picture from Fox Weather. Yeah, there was just a flash and a streak of light going across the sky in the middle of the day, and areas especially across southeast Tennessee, the Carolinas, Georgia. Apparently there was even the possibility of a house possibly being hit by whatever this was. So whoever that is definitely should buy a lottery ticket for sure. But overall, definitely a lot of internet headlines today from what we saw. So getting back into our weather, right now we have some gorgeous sunsets out there. Let's start off with our Hyatt cam right here and our Daytona Beach cam. Starting off with Hyatt though, because we did see some raindrops and some heavier showers make their way across the downtown Orlando area earlier. Seeing a beautiful sunset. We're going to continue to see more of these gorgeous red sunsets through the weekend, which is going to be pretty cool. And we'll talk about why in a second. Daytona Beach, lots of folks out there, and the reason why, they didn't get any rain today. That's going to change tomorrow. But as we do take a look at our radar at the moment, we can see just a couple of very scattered showers in southern Osceola County, and then just very light rain from about I-75 over. Not really anything to worry about for the rest of the night tonight, but we could see some storms again pick up in strength as we head through the day tomorrow, which is why we are calling for another impact day tomorrow. Today was an impact day. It's over now. No more severe threat through the rest of the overnight tonight. Now we're turning our focus towards Friday. Main threat is going to be that dangerous lightning and very gusty winds. We could also see the possibility of hail, and there is a very, very low chance, it's not zero, however, a very low chance where we could see a very brief tornado. So we're going to be very much keeping an eye on things as those storms start to fire up, because today all of those storms popped up across the central part of the peninsula, and they made their way off the west coast, as they still are right now. But tomorrow things are going to switch. So let's talk about the storm impacts of what we're going to be expecting for Friday. Winds possibly up to 60 miles per hour, especially if you find yourself in some of those stronger storms. Possibility of seeing that hail as well. And we have a little bit of a dry layer in the atmosphere. And again, we'll swing back to that in just a moment. But when we do have that dry layer in the atmosphere, when storms start to pick up, that is a recipe that we could see, especially when we're talking about a lot of lightning. So vivid lightning, wind, main two threats for tomorrow. If you do hear any thunder, because again, we're going to see those storms make their way off the east coast as we head through tomorrow evening. Make sure if you do hear any thunder, get inside immediately. I cannot stress that enough, folks. Lots of lightning, and lightning has unfortunately made its way into the headlines for not so great reasons the past couple weeks. So if you do hear any thunder tomorrow over the weekend, because we're going to continue to hold those storms, make sure you get inside as quick as possible. So those are the threats tomorrow. Let's talk about our severe threat tomorrow as well, because again, those storms, they moved west today. They're going to be moving east tomorrow. So we're seeing that level 1 out of 5 in areas from Claremont, Bushnell, all the way over to the coastline, from Daytona all the way down to Melbourne. So ultimately, we could see one or a few of those stronger severe thunderstorms. Really, we're just going to need to wait until those storms pick up and start moving before we can get a better idea of how we really start to see those storms interact with one another. So Friday storm setup. Again, today we saw those storms move west. Now they're going to be moving east. We have this low pressure system kind of just lingering up in the high atmosphere. And so here's what our atmosphere is looking like right now. This is just the past 6 hours. And so today we saw those storms bubble up. We have that here, but you'll notice that this kind of circle is making its way over the west coast. So here, let me play this graphic one more time. And let me grab a pen. There we go, that's perfect. So our upper level low is kind of right here. This is the circulation. So as those storms were kind of riding up over, we saw everything kind of get pushed off to the west coast. So you can see right here, those storms kind of bubbled up across northern Volusia County, Flagler County, and then kind of made their way off the west coast, kind of just following this circle that we have right here. And that's why all of those storms were kind of funneled into the Tampa Bay area yesterday. So taking a look at tomorrow, if I clear my little pen, you can see it kind of shifts, and we can see right here that we're going to be having more of this flow tomorrow. So this is going to bubble up, and any storms that start to form across the central part of the peninsula, it's going to be pushed all through the east coast, because now this circulation is up here. So we have all of this flow kind of pushing all of these storms now to the east. So that's going to be the big pattern change as we head through the day tomorrow. So enough of me drawing. Let's actually get to the forecast and time this out for you, because I know a lot of people are going to be out this weekend for sure. But through the rest of the overnight tonight, things are looking good. Headed into tomorrow morning, partly cloudy skies, maybe a stray shower firing off early, but I think we're just going to keep those partly cloudy skies around. And then as we head into the afternoons, this is about lunchtime. We can see about 1:30 p.m. We can start to see those west coast sea breezes starting to fire up. Continuing to see the east coast sea breezes also kind of fire up a little bit. And I'm going to back out just a smidge. There we go. Pull down. And we can see all of these storms, again, just kind of following that circulation that we talked about just a second ago. It's going to continue to move up, possibly impacting areas of southern Brevard County, up to Cocoa and Titusville. And then very just scattered storms behind that. So as we head into about 5:30, that's probably when we're going to be seeing the most widespread storms. Things slowly making their way off the east coast, possibly seeing a few more storms, still lingering at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, but things should be very much quiet by the time we hit about midnight tomorrow night. And it's going to be a very rinse and repeat process through the weekend. Still holding this pattern as we see those storms continuing to make their way eastward as we head through the weekend as well. So very similar copy and paste forecast as we head through the next couple of days. And here's our rain chances. With that low that's kind of just sitting overhead, this is what's going to increase our rain chances for the next couple of days, and then slowly things start to fizzle out as we head into the middle of the work week. So things are really just going to be very heightened in the rain department. We really haven't seen a lot of rain, especially on the East Coast beaches. So that's something that, has been pretty interesting over the past couple of days. And let me see if now that I'm on the topic, our drought monitor, if I have that available. Yeah, right here. So yeah, I can see areas across Brevard County, even up towards Daytona, still very dry conditions. Back down toward Titusville and Cocoa Beach, Melbourne area, seeing those very dry conditions as well. And again, really, the Space Coast has not seen a lot of rain in quite a while. So that's why we're still seeing those very dry conditions out there. And we're going to continue to see those dry conditions with the exception tomorrow and even through the weekend, because we're going to finally start to get that rain back in the forecast. So switching gears just a little bit, we kind of talked about some topical stories earlier, got into the forecast. So let's bring up your 7-day. And then I do want to switch gears to the tropics because things are picking up a little bit in some ways than others. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But here's your 7-day, lots of rain on the forecast, temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s. Slowly starting to see those rain chances fizzle out a little bit more as we take a look at Wednesday and Thursday. So that's your 7-day, but I do want to switch gears to the tropics because ultimately we're not looking at any activity on tap for the next 7 days. Good news right there, for sure. Something that we did see earlier on this week, on Tuesday, we quite literally saw the rise and fall of Andrea. So Andrea being the first named storm of 2025. It was named at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. And this was a fish storm to say the least. It did not impact any land, and it was a very short-lived storm as well. This storm was reaching that tropical storm strength at 8 a.m. on Tuesday and was completely gone by 8 p.m. So not even a 12-hour lifespan of this storm. But still, it had no impacts on land. It was the first named storm of the season. So we're keeping the tally for sure. So our next name on the list is Barry and Chantal, and then coming up with Dexter afterwards. But taking a look at the tropics over the next couple of days, the reason why it's so quiet is because we have that Saharan dust back in the atmosphere. And this happens every single year, and this ultimately acts as a buffer and a lid on any tropical activity. Tropics, they like warm, moist air from basically the surface all the way up into the higher atmosphere. So when this little bit of a dry layer starts to move in, it can't form. So that's really why we're not seeing any activity across the Atlantic because of the Saharan dust. Couple of good things, and we'll actually get to the timing of when we can see the worst of the worst. If you are an allergy sufferer like me, I don't know if you can tell, I'm definitely a little raspy today. That dust is really going to be pushing it over the next couple of days. So again, if you do have taken any allergy medication, get on that early, because over the next couple of days, you will notice that those skies are going to be almost milky, and kind of that haziness in the air, and that's because of the Saharan dust, and we'll take you through it in a second. A couple of things to look forward to: beautiful sunsets this weekend, and also no tropical activity, so that's the good news right there. So overall, here's when we're going to be expecting that next plume to roll in, and that's going to be into the weekend. So especially areas across southern Florida, this is going to start to move up into the Gulf, but the Orlando area is going to be seeing that dust start to move in on Friday, slowly backing off on Sunday, but still just seeing almost like the residual kind of just over Orlando. And then we see that first plume move in. We have a second plume that's going to almost combine forces with that one. That one's not going to hit us full hard, but we are going to continue to see the impacts of that, again, just with that milkiness in the air. And then also we kind of have 2 more rounds coming in as we head through the first week of July, which crazy. I can't believe June has moved quickly. So quick. I feel like we just started June and now we're at the end of June. So I have a question right here. This is from Jeff Charles on Facebook. Can we expect to see more Pacific storms compared to the Atlantic storms this hurricane season? That's a great question, Jeff. So there is a difference between the Pacific storms versus the Atlantic storms. The Pacific season, especially in the Eastern Pacific, which brings me to my next point. We do have a 20% chance. So this is from the 8 p.m. update. Actually, let's take a look at this now. So this just updated. But Jeff, to answer your question, the Pacific hurricane season actually starts a month earlier. So they start actually in the month of May. But there's not really any correlation in between Eastern Pacific activity versus Atlantic activity. If they have a busy season, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have a busy season. So it's just something that we really just need to keep focused on across our neck of the woods. So this is, again, brand new information right here. Let me pull up. So right here, this is again from the National Hurricane Center. I'm looking at this on my other screen right here. This little blob right here. This is in the Bay of Campeche. It's a 20% chance of development in the next 7 days. And it's going to move west-northwestward. So what let me do a little bit of workshopping here. Live forecasting here, folks. This is what we look forward to. So with this kind of thing. So overall, what we have right here is our splotch, that 20% blob. And let me put this over our moisture count. Let me also make sure you can see that yellow. Doesn't look like you can see it here, but we'll break this down because this is a lot right here. So overall, this is, let me just make sure our opacity is all the way up so we can see everything. Yeah, so that's the latest update from the National Hurricane Center is that we are expecting another a 20% chance of some sort of development in the next 7 days. So one thing that we're keeping an eye on right here is that little splotch is right here. Let me draw that because I don't know why it's not showing up. There we go. Okay, so here is our blob that just got put in by the National Hurricane Center. And so what the National Hurricane Center is saying in their report, and again, if you would like to kind of read the full report, if you look up NHC and click that first link, you should be able to see that right there. But this is calling for a 20% chance of seeing this system right here. You can kind of see this low pressure circulation and some moisture starting to form right here. So this is the area that I'm looking at now. So this is a little cluster of thunderstorms, and it's expected to move west-northwestward. So this is going to almost move over the Yucatan Peninsula and then possibly make its way into this little cluster of water. And so this is going to be moving into the Bay of Campeche Saturday or Sunday. And National Weather Service National Hurricane Center, is expecting a low pressure area to form after that if the system remains over water. So we've seen this, of course, with big hurricanes like Milton and Helene. As soon as they get cut off from their source, that's when we see their water source. That's when we see the it weaken. So with this system right here, as we see that circulation still happening, and there's that yellow blob right there. As the system continues to kind of move over the Yucatan Peninsula, it's possible that as it gets cut off from that warm water source, it could completely tear itself apart or just completely lose that strength. So that's something that we're going to be watching very closely, that as this circulation of thunderstorms maybe holds itself together as it makes its way north-northwest. If it stays just to the east of Cancun, maybe it could become something. But right now, the circulation is kind of pulling everything over the Yucatan Peninsula, which is why that little blob is kind of right along the east coast of Mexico. So that's what we're looking at. So live forecasting there for your folks as we continue to track the tropics. So that's what we're looking at right now. So that's your latest tropics update. As we head into the month of July, we can see especially the Gulf is an area that we're going to be watching. Along the East Coast is an area that we're going to be watching, as well as that warmer water starting to pick up in areas across the Caribbean Sea, as well as the Central Atlantic. So a couple of areas now that we're starting to see that warmer water start to kick in. But then again, also going back to that other graphic, that Saharan dust is going to be moving in. So that could also act as a buffer as we head into the next couple of days with that next blob that we could see. So as we wrap up, this is our hurricane season overall. Just starting to get into the 1st of July, and we have a long way to go. We are about a sixth of the way through hurricane season. So we have a bit to go before things finally start to calm down as we head into the end of December. So overall, we have a long way to go. Our peak is September 10th. And we're going to be watching the tropics very carefully. So biggest advice that I have as we wrap up this evening, and I'll pop your 7-day back up so you can kind of see everything once again before we wrap up. Make sure you have that Fox Local app downloaded. We are constantly updating that so you are up to date with the latest weather information, and that's the best way in order to stay safe this season for sure. So biggest advice there, and now that we're still in that quiet season, nothing to worry about quite yet. Make sure that your first aid kits, any evacuation kits, safety kits, make sure those are replenished now that it's still quiet before things go flying off the shelves. Well, thanks everyone so much for joining us on this Thursday evening. Over the next couple of days, making sure you're staying weather aware and staying safe. And if you hear any thunder, definitely get inside, because those storms definitely could become very rough, especially as we take a look at tomorrow afternoon. So just make sure, again, staying weather aware, and stick with us here at Fox 35 and Fox Local for the latest weather information. Have a great night, everybody.